The year is 428, 427 BCE, and in the powerful city-state of Athens, a child is born into an aristocratic family. His name is Plato, a name that will one day echo through history as one of the greatest philosophers of all time. From an early age, he is exposed to politics, poetry, and the teachings of his mentor Socrates, whose method of questioning the nature of reality and ethics profoundly shapes the young thinker's mind. But was Plato merely a philosopher, or was there something more to his wisdom? Some alternative historical theories suggest that his deep understanding of divine truth, morality, and the nature of the soul bears striking similarities to later religious teachings, including those found in Islam. Could it be that Plato was not just a philosopher, but a prophet whose teachings were hidden over time? As Plato grows, Athens is in turmoil, wars rage, democracy falters, and his mentor Socrates is sentenced to death for corrupting the youth with his radical ideas. Witnessing this injustice, Plato begins his quest for deeper knowledge, seeking truth beyond what the world around him seems to offer. Was his philosophy simply the result of intellectual pursuit, or was he divinely guided toward wisdom that would later resurface in religious teachings? In 428, 427 BCE, young Plato embarks on a journey that will shape his philosophical beliefs forever. Disillusioned by the execution of his mentor Socrates, he leaves Athens in search of deeper wisdom. His travels take him to Egypt, a land of ancient knowledge, where he studies mathematics, astronomy, and theology under the priests of Heliopolis. Here, he encounters teachings about the immortality of the soul and the divine order of the universes that bear a striking resemblance to later religious philosophies, including Islam. Plato begins to develop his own theory of forms, a belief that the physical world is merely a shadow of a higher, perfect reality. He argues that true knowledge is not gained through the senses but through reason and divine enlightenment. This idea closely mirrors the belief in an unseen but absolute truth, later emphasized in monotheistic religions. But was Plato simply a philosopher, or was he receiving divine inspiration? Some speculate that his teachings on morality, justice, and the eternal soul suggest more than human reasoning. They hint at a revelation of hidden truths. As he returns to Athens, Plato is determined to spread his newfound knowledge. He founds the Academy, the first institution of higher learning, where he teaches his students about virtue, wisdom, and the unseen world of perfect forms. Could it be that his mission was not just intellectual, but also spiritual? If Plato was truly a prophet whose message was concealed, what knowledge was lost with time? In 428, 427 BCE, Plato, now a renowned philosopher, continues his quest to understand the nature of existence, justice, and the soul. Through his academy in Athens, he teaches his students ideas that seem to transcend mere philosophy, ideas about a higher, unseen reality, the immortality of the soul, and the necessity of moral and just leadership. But were these ideas purely intellectual, or was there a hidden message within them? Plato's concept of the Philosopher-King, described in the Republic, emphasizes a divinely guided leader who rules not for power, but for the benefit of the people, following wisdom beyond worldly desires. This bears striking similarities to later Islamic principles of leadership, where a ruler is seen as a servant of justice under divine law. Could it be that Plato unknowingly echoed prophetic teachings? His allegory of the cave describes humanity as prisoners trapped in a world of illusion, unable to see the true reality beyond their limited perception. Only through enlightenment, through reason, and divine knowledge, can one escape and see the ultimate truth. This idea strongly aligns with later spiritual teachings about the unseen world and divine revelation. Yet, despite his wisdom, Plato never explicitly claimed to be a prophet. His works were preserved, but over time, some interpretations were lost or altered. If he had been chosen to deliver divine wisdom, could his role have been hidden to prevent conflicts with Greek polytheism? As Plato grows older, his influence spreads, shaping Western and Islamic thought for centuries. His ideas about the eternal soul, morality, and divine truth would later be echoed by scholars of the Islamic Golden Age, who saw him as a man of deep wisdom, perhaps even a figure of divine insight. Was Plato merely a philosopher, or was he unknowingly a messenger of lost wisdom? Did his teachings foreshadow religious truths yet to be revealed? The mystery of his legacy remains, leaving us to question whether the greatest thinkers of history were guided by reason alone or something greater. In 427 BCE, Plato's pursuit of truth leads him deeper into the mysteries of existence. His time in Egypt and encounters with various philosophical and religious traditions fuel his belief that knowledge is not merely human reasoning, but something far greater, something divine. However, in a world dominated by Greek polytheism, such ideas are dangerous. Could it be that Plato uncovered truths that were too controversial for his time? As he refines his theory of forms, he speaks of a single, unchanging source of all reality, an idea that challenges the multiple gods of Greece. He writes cautiously, disguising his thoughts within allegories, fearing that openly speaking of one supreme truth could bring him the same fate as Socrates. Some scholars later argue that his writings secretly align with monotheistic beliefs that would emerge centuries later. But where did Plato truly receive his wisdom? Some ancient records suggest that he studied under mystics and priests who preserved knowledge from civilizations long forgotten. Others believe he encountered hidden teachings that later shaped both Greek and Islamic thought. As Plato grows older, he warns that true knowledge is not for everyone, fearing that in the wrong hands it could be misused. He insists that only the most virtuous and wise should seek it, echoing the idea that divine wisdom is revealed only to those chosen to receive it. Was this a reflection of prophetic tradition,